All right, welcome to another deep dive. We are talking about the book of Exodus, and we're going to jump right into chapter 6 today.
Specifically chapter 6. Yeah. And it's interesting because just this one chapter, Exodus is this huge book.
Right, yeah.
This one chapter just packs in so much.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really a turning point
Oh, it is.
in the narrative,
Yeah.
right? From
the narrative of the Israelites.
Yeah, of the Israelites going from being enslaved in Egypt.
To freedom, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we're trying to unpack what are those essential insights in this chapter.
Right. And there's so many.
I know there are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at, what are the initial promises that God is making to the Israelites? And then what are those like real world leadership challenges that are kind of cropping up?
Right. Because there are always those.
There always are. Yeah, those human elements. And then, how does this one chapter set in motion
the rest of the book?
This event, this huge, world-shaping event.
Absolutely. And it's like we said, it's such a microcosm of the entire story of Exodus. It
Yeah.
just has all these things in this little chapter.
It does. Yeah, and I think, if you're listening to this, you've probably had those moments in your own life where you kind of come to these crossroads or these turning points
Right.
where things are about to really shift and you're not quite sure what's going to happen.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even realize it at the time.
You look back and you're like, oh, that was it. That was the moment.
That was the hinge.
That was the hinge. Yeah, so we're going to look at Exodus chapter 6 as kind of, an hinge moment for the Israelites.
Absolutely. And the beginning of this incredible story.
Yeah, okay, so let's just dive right into those first few verses.
Yeah.
Verses 1 through 8, we see this really powerful declaration
Yeah.
of divine assurance.
Yeah, this is where God really lays it out,
He does, and he's speaking directly to Moses, right?
directly to Moses. And there's no mincing words here.
No.
I mean, it's really powerful the way it's phrased.
Well, let's read a little bit of it, right?
Yeah.
It says, because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country.
And that repetition, that emphasis on the mighty hand, that's so powerful.
It is, yeah, and it really conveys this sense of inevitability, right? That
Yeah.
God is behind this and that it's going to happen.
Like it's a done deal. It's just a matter of when and how.
Right, right. And I think that's a really important point to kind of keep in mind as we're going through this, because there's going to be a lot of like back and forth and uncertainty.
Right. On the human level, for sure.
Right. But from God's perspective, it's like, no, this is happening.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, how God distinguishes the way he revealed himself in the past,
Yeah, how's that?
It says, I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty, but by my name, the Lord, I did not make myself fully known to them.
I mean, that's huge, right? What does that even mean?
Right. What's the difference? What's the nuance there?
Right, because God Almighty, I mean, that sounds pretty,
It's like top level.
yeah, it's like the biggest name you can have.
Right, exactly.
So what does it mean to not be fully known by the name the Lord?
I think it hints at a deepening of the relationship,
Okay.
God Almighty, that name really focuses on power, dominion,
Uh-huh.
but the name the Lord, that's often associated with covenant faithfulness, steadfast love.
Right, so it's more about like relationship.
It's more about the quality of the relationship, right?
Right, so God's saying like, yeah, I showed up as the powerful one,
Mm-hmm.
but now I'm showing up as the one who's in covenant with you.
Right. The one who's going to see this through with
The
you.
one who's going to stick it out with you.
Exactly. And that's so important for the Israelites in their situation, right?
Right, they're enslaved, they're suffering. They need a God who's going to be there with them.
And they need to know it's the same God who made those promises to their ancestors.
Right, and you see that connection made in the next few verses when it talks about the covenant, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Exactly. The covenant concerning the land of Canaan.
The promised land, right?
The promised land, and God saying, what I promised, then I'm bringing into play now.
Right, and he even mentions their suffering, right? He says, I have heard the groaning of the Israelites.
And it's like their cries are reaching God's ears and he's responding.
That's powerful.
It's so important to see that connection between suffering and divine action.
And then we get this whole list of promises.
Yeah.
Right, it's like promise after promise.
It's like a wave of liberation that's about to break.
Yeah, and they're pretty huge promises, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, I'll, make things a little bit better.
No, it's a complete overhaul of their situation.
Right, he says, I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will free you from their bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment.
I mean, an outstretched arm and great acts of judgment, you can't get more forceful than that.
No, it's like he's really painting a picture here.
And what would those acts of judgment have looked like to the people at the time? I mean, can you imagine witnessing that?
I mean, it must have been terrifying and awe-inspiring at the same time.
Right, because this is a God who's not messing around.
Right, but then it's not just about getting them out of Egypt, right? It's about establishing this whole new relationship.
Exactly. He says, I will take you as my own people and I will be your God.
So it's not just physical freedom. It's about this deep connection with God.
Right. It's a covenant relationship. It's being chosen. It's belonging.
And that phrase, I am the Lord, it's repeated so many times in these verses.
It's like a drumbeat. It's this constant reminder
Of what?
who God is,
Yeah.
of his authority to make these promises, and his unwavering commitment to fulfill them.
Like he's saying, I'm not just saying this, I am this.
Exactly. It eliminates any doubt about the source and the reliability of these promises.
Right, and you need that when you're in a situation like the Israelites.
Absolutely. You need that firm foundation to cling to.
But then we get to verse 9.
And it's a reality check.
Yeah, big time.
Moses tells the Israelites all these amazing things God has promised.
And what do?
They don't listen.
They don't listen at all.
It says they did not listen to him because of their discouragement and harsh labor.
I mean, that's heartbreaking, right? You've got these incredible promises on one side.
And the crushing reality of their situation on the other.
Yeah, they're so bogged down in their daily struggle.
It's like they can't even wrap their minds around freedom.
Right, it's too far removed from their experience.
I think this speaks to the psychological impact of oppression, you know?
How so?
When you're constantly being beaten down, your spirit can get crushed. You lose hope. You lose the ability to even imagine a better future.
So even though the message is powerful,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it can't penetrate that wall of suffering.
It's a sobering reminder that even the most inspiring message can fall flat if the audience isn't ready to receive it.
Or if they're just too broken down by their circumstances.
Right, and it makes you think about how we approach people who are going through difficult times.
Yeah, you can't just throw platitudes at them.
No, you have to meet them where they are and acknowledge their pain.
Right, okay, so this first attempt to deliver the good news doesn't exactly go as planned.
Right, but God doesn't give up.
He doesn't.
In verses 10 and 11, we get the renewed command.
Okay, what does he say?
Go tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the Israelites go out of his country.
So the mission hasn't changed.
Not at all.
But Moses isn't exactly thrilled about this, is he?
I mean, can you blame him?
Nah, he just got shot down by his own people.
And now he's supposed to go up against Pharaoh.
The most powerful ruler in the known world.
Exactly.
So what does he say?
He says, if the Israelites will not listen to me, why would Pharaoh listen to me since I speak with faltering lips?
He brings up his speech impediment again.
It's a major obstacle for him.
I mean, I can understand that, right? If you're going to be speaking truth to power,
Yeah.
you want to be able to do it eloquently.
And with confidence.
Right. But I also kind of admire his honesty, you know?
Oh, absolutely. He's not trying to pretend he's got it all together.
Yeah, he's laying it all out there.
And I think this really humanizes Moses.
Yeah, he's not this perfect superhero.
No, he's got flaws. He's got insecurities.
Right. And yet, God still chooses him.
Which is a really encouraging message for us, too.
Right. It's like God can use anyone.
Even those who feel inadequate.
Yeah, and maybe especially those who feel inadequate.
Right, because it's in our weakness that God's strength is made perfect.
That's a good word.
Okay, so after this exchange with Moses, the narrative shifts a bit.
Yeah, we get into this whole genealogy section.
Right, starting in verse 13.
Yeah, it's like we're taking a break from the main action.
Right, we're going into family history.
And it can feel a little out of place at first.
I mean, you're in the middle of this dramatic story.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's like, and so-and-so begat so-and-so.
Right.
But there's got to be a reason for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there are several reasons why this genealogy is so important.
Okay, I'm all ears.
First of all, it establishes Moses and Aaron's credentials.
Like their street cred?
Exactly. It shows they're not just random guys.
Right.
They come from the tribe of Levi.
Mm-hmm.
They're descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
So they're connected to the covenant.
Exactly. They're heirs to the promises.
So it's like God saying, look, I'm not picking outsiders here.
Mm-hmm.
These are your own people.
Right? They're part of the family.
Yeah, and they're the ones I've chosen to lead you.
And I think it also highlights the importance of heritage.
Okay.
It's not just about who Moses and Aaron are as individuals.
Mhm.
It's about where they come from.
Right, their roots.
Their roots, exactly. And that gives them authority.
Interesting. So it's like in that culture, your lineage really mattered.
Absolutely, it established your place in society.
And your legitimacy as a leader.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's one reason for the genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Well, the level of detail that's provided is not just a list of names.
Right.
It's like we're getting this whole family tree.
Yeah, we get the names of their parents.
Amram and Jochebed.
And we learned that Jochebed was Amram's father's sister.
So they were related.
Which was not uncommon back then.
It was a different time.
Yeah. And we also learned that Aaron is Moses' older brother.
Which is important for their dynamic later on.
Right, because Aaron ends up being Moses' spokesperson.
Exactly.
And we even get the names of Aaron's sons.
Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar.
And then it mentions Eleazar's son, Phinehas.
So we're getting this multi-generational picture.
Yeah, it's like God saying, look, this is a family affair.
Mm-hmm.
This liberation is not just about this one generation.
Right. It's about the future of the entire nation.
And their connection to their past.
Exactly. And this genealogy is like a bridge between the two.
That's a really good way to put it.
And I think this level of detail also underscores the significance of the Levitical priesthood.
Okay, how so?
Well, Moses and Aaron are from the tribe of Levi.
Right.
And their descendants will become the priests of Israel.
So this is like the origin story of the priesthood.
Exactly. It's like we're seeing the roots being planted.
And it's all tied to this moment of liberation.
It's all connected.
That's amazing.
And then just to drive the point home, the text explicitly states in verses 26 and 27.
How does this say?
It was this Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, bring the Israelites out of Egypt by their divisions.
They were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, about bringing the Israelites out of Egypt. This same Moses and Aaron. Like, no mistake, it's these guys.
You can take it's them.
Yeah, God's not changing his mind.
Even though Moses is still having doubts.
Yeah, we see that in the final verses of the chapter.
Verses 28 through 30.
So God reiterates his command to Moses.
And Moses says, since I speak with faltering lips, why would Pharaoh listen to me?
He's still hung up on his speech.
He is, but this time it's different.
How so?
Because now we know Aaron is going to be his spokesperson.
Right. It was established earlier in Exodus, but it's like God's bringing it up again.
To reassure Moses.
Right. Like, don't worry about that part.
Yeah.
I've got you covered.
I've provided a solution.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love how God just anticipates our needs like that.
It's amazing, and it shows that he really cares about our weaknesses.
Yeah, he doesn't just expect us to overcome them on our own.
He gives us grace, he gives us help.
And he uses our weaknesses to accomplish his purposes.
Absolutely. So even though Moses has this speech impediment, God is going to use it.
To liberate his people.
And to show his glory.
I mean, that's a powerful message right there.
It is, and I think it's something we can all relate to.
Right, we all have our limitations.
But God can use them for good.
Yeah, if we let him.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Exodus chapter 6,
what are some of the key takeaways?
I would say the first one is the power of God's promise.
Right, he's making this incredible declaration of liberation.
And there's no doubt that he's going to follow through.
Yeah, but then we also see the human side of the story.
The Israelites are discouraged, they're struggling to believe.
And Moses is wrestling with his own insecurities.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of God's grand plan, there's always going to be a human element.
Right, and that human element can be messy.
It can be, but God uses it.
He does, and he works through it.
And I think that's encouraging.
It is, yeah. Because it means that our imperfections don't disqualify us from being used by God.
Absolutely. In fact, they might even make us more usable.
Right, because it's in our weakness that his strength is made perfect.
And so for you listening who wanted to really dive deep into this text and get a better understanding of it, I think we've seen how these opening verses of Exodus chapter 6
really lay the groundwork.
They lay the groundwork for everything that's going to come.
Yeah, the liberation, the covenant, the leadership of Moses and Aaron.
It's all there in this one chapter.
It's amazing how much is packed into these few verses.
It is, and it makes you want to keep reading.
It does. Yeah, and as you continue to explore this story, think about those challenges that we talked about.
The resistance, the doubt, the human frailty.
Yeah, and how God works through all of it.
To accomplish his purposes.
Yeah, and I think that's a message we can all take with us.
Absolutely.
Into our own journeys.
Into our own Exodus moments.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.